fair to say the honeymoon is well and truly over for Xabi Alonso. Of course, 3 games now without a win for the new coach. A lot of different talking points reflecting on that game and that form of late as Alex Kirkland joins us. Alex, I suppose the big one, isn't it? Vinicius Jr, who looked just delighted to be on the bench, and that has now sparked rumours that he has told Real Madrid, hey, I am not saying anything about a new contract as long as Alonso's here.
Yeah, well, that situation's been stalled for a long time, Dan, and we know the situation between Vinicius and Alonso in particular. It's been the case since the summer. It started in the summer when Alonso came in, going back to the Club World Cup. Around that time, Vini's camp started to feel that the player wasn't, the kind of player that the coach was particularly enamoured with, and that's continued every time he's been on the bench, and he's been benched multiple times by Alonso so far this season, something that never happened really under Carlo Ancelotti. When Vini was fit, he played. He was, untouchable under that regime, and that's no longer the case. And like I say, it's been brewing now for months, and certainly there are growing reports here that he's not the only one. This situation between Xabi Alonso and the dressing room, something that Alonso denied after the Elche game. He said, no, the connection between me and the players is improving. It's getting better and better. It doesn't look like that's the case. Now, I think this was always going to be a potential issue, going from the Ancelotti regime to Xabi Alonso, two completely contrasting coaches in terms of styles. That was never going to be easy, but you've got to bring the players along with you if you get the results. At the start of the season, Madrid were getting results. Now they are not. And increasingly, there are signs that the players are not happy. During that Elche game, some of the things that we've been told were kind of, non-negotiable under Alonso: working off the ball, out of possession, tracking back, intensity. We're not getting that now from a number of Real Madrid players. And this situation is really getting quite serious. I think it's 5 games now coming up to the City game in the Champions League. And over those 5 games, if Madrid don't start getting results, if the players don't look like they're on board with the Xabi Alonso project, Vinicius Jr. and all the rest, then it really is time for the alarm bells to start ringing, I think.
This is fascinating, Stevie, because this is a case of it's okay to treat the players like that via Leverkusen, but at Real Madrid it's a different breed.
We were talking earlier about culture. The culture at Real Madrid is that El Presidente upstairs is more interested in
Spanish, Stevie, is quite
I know, yeah. I've been practicing. He's way more interested in keeping the players happy than the manager, because he clearly thinks, I can get another manager.
Right.
So if this does continue, and the rumblings with Vini in particular, then it wouldn't be a shock for Xabi Alonso to be let go.
But he's been there, Shaq. He's been at big clubs. He's been at Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Liverpool. He surely knows that maybe you have to treat these sort of players differently than he has done in the past.
That's the biggest surprise for me. Xabi Alonso knows dressing rooms, successful dressing rooms like probably nobody else in the game right now. So for him to have this kind of disconnect with this Real Madrid dressing room is as big a surprise to me as I'm sure it is to Xabi Alonso. How the question now is, kind of given where we are, how do you fix that? How do you make that right? Vinicius Jr. has clearly made his opinions known, and you can't make it right with him. Can other things come up can other relationships be fixed in that dressing room? Again, I'm not sure. And the only outcome I see, or the most likely outcome I see to this right now is, given where we are with Real Madrid and that dressing room, if Real Madrid don't win anything this season, it is not beyond Florentino Perez to let Xabi Alonso go. Even
before the end of the season.
And then probably the only, if you're a Liverpool fan, you're probably thinking, the way things are going here, this would be great for us. That otherwise, this just continues to twist and turn and only gets worse as the season goes on.
You pulled a face when I said to Shaka that he should know better.
I don't see Xabi Alonso kissing people's backside just to keep the guy upstairs happy and keep them happy. There comes a stage where you...
But if what's happening at the moment isn't working...
So, but to that point...
but that's not really... You have to respect yourself before anybody else.
Right.
And if you are that way inclined, that the only way you can do it is by going around kissing Vini Jr.'s backside, then you know what?
But you don't have to kiss backside. Surely you just have to play.
So that's my...
But people, the way Vini is, it's that or it's nothing.
You think so?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, the game... We showed his face. He didn't. It speaks 1,000 words. Look at the way he acted a couple of weeks ago. Why should this guy be on the field? It's all about him. Me. And again, it depends on Xabi Alonso. And I don't see Xabi Alonso losing his own self-respect to keep a guy like Vinny happy just because he wants a job. Now, don't get me wrong. It is arguably the biggest job in football. But at the end of the day, is that worth your own self-respect? I don't think so.
So no, see, my thing is, I'm not asking Xabi Alonso to kiss anybody's behind here. That's not.
Can I say something, Shaka?
Go ahead.
The thing is, how can he ask other people in the team, in the squad, to do things and then let Vinny off with not doing it? Because that's the reason Vinny's sitting in his backside.
That's not what I'm saying. So and my surprise around Xabi Alonso here is, if Xabi Alonso was a player in that team, in that dressing room, what would he, as a player, as the captain, be saying to Vinicius Jr. to get the best out of him? Now, again, to my point, nobody knows that situation as a player better than Xabi Alonso. The dressing rooms that he sat in, Bayern, Liverpool, Real Madrid, nobody knows that better than Xabi Alonso. So now to see him to kind of struggle to fix that relationship or build that bridge, however you want to phrase it, as a head coach, as a manager, I find surprising, because if he was in that dressing room as a player, there is no doubt in my mind that he would have fixed it.
Being a player and being a coach, on the face of it, seemed like a similar type of job,
right?
But it's not. It's a completely different ball game. As a player, you're looking after yourself, you're listening to the manager. If you can help other people, you do. When you become the coach, it's a different ball game.
Well, and you've got to deal with El Presidente.
And you've got to deal with El Presidente sat up the stairs.
Got a lot going on.
Who you know, by the way, because his record tells you that if you don't keep the big boys happy, then you're at the door. It's a horrible place to be.
The Madrid media is extremely powerful. El Presidente, of course, runs some of it. Alex, which side are they taking in this?
He's back. He's definitely back.
Well, look, it's hard to give a definitive answer on that at this stage. There's a lot of criticism now for Xabi Alonso, no question about that. Criticism of his team selection, his tactics, and the fact that the results aren't going their way. There's also criticism for the players. Of course, when you get results like this, a series of results like this, against Liverpool, against Rayo, against Elche, there's criticism for some of the players for not performing. But ultimately, I mean, going back to the point that guys just talking about, if it's a choice between how do you solve this, do you change the coach? Do you change a whole bunch of the players? It's much easier to do one of those things than the other. And at Real Madrid, it's always been ultimately the coach that goes. I think the irony in all this is that this is kind of why Xabi Alonso was brought in. You bring in Xabi Alonso to shake things up, to get rid of some of the bad habits that had developed under the previous regime. There was a widespread feeling last season that the players had too much power, that the coach was too soft on them, and sort of to a certain extent gave them too much freedom. So what do? You bring in Xabi Alonso to change those things. He has changed a lot of those things. And like I say, I guess you can only do that if the results go along with it. But there's no doubt that the pressure is really growing now. It's starting to get quite serious, and there is genuine discussion now about, like I say, not even end of the season, in the relatively short term. These next few games, you've got Olympiacos, of course, this week in the Champions League. Then it's Girona, Athletic Club in La Liga. That's a big one, and especially the City game. If by then, like I say, just 5 games, if things haven't turned around, we could potentially be looking at decision-making time, which seems extraordinary to say when you think about how quickly we've got to this point. But we're not that far away now.
Shaka's already got him going to Liverpool. Alex, thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. A lot more on the fallout from Real Madrid's draw against Elche on the latest edition of the Gab and Jules podcast.